Since my study with Freddie Gruber, who was really the most instrumental in getting me to understand about kind of like the laws of nature and the laws of physics and how all that plays into allowing energy to flow. A lot has changed for me in my approach. It used to be much more physical, and before Freddie, and I didn't really understand the differences of contact points of grip and all that type of thing in the hands with the sticks, and the idea of really understanding rebound and manipulating bounce, and that's kind of what you're talking about. The flowing aspect comes from a real conscious effort to flow. It's the path of least resistance for me to be able to turn technical things such as the Moller technique into part of the approach. It's the letting go just enough of the stick so that you aren't death gripping it and choking the sound out of it and not allowing it to vibrate, which is achieved by making sure your whole hand is on the stick as much as possible instead of just gripping from the front, or in certain places that don't allow manipulation with a lot more ease. So it's the combination of the bouncing, the flowing motions of Moller is what it kind of comes down to, and making sure that I'm ergonomically set up correct for those things to take place, because that's kind of a big part of it, especially with the traditional grip. If you spend the time practicing to get command of the sticks and the pedals, and you practice the coordinated independence, and you're able to do things that you think to do. And if you've listened to a lot of great players and a lot of styles of music that you copy at first and you try to emulate, then, at least for me, I was probably in my early 20s when I really started to think about my own image, my own real, what do I want to do with this drum set? Not just copying other great players and doing those type of things. And I think, to me, it's a combination of going through the development, gaining the knowledge, spending the time practicing and developing, and making a conscious decision to be creative, to think about what it is you want to do differently, what than somebody else. What do you think about? You actually got to close your eyes, sit down and think about, okay, what and I have to go through this when I try to write music. It's a light switch. You have to actually switch off the player thing for a minute, and I have to think about composing. To think about melody and structure and the feel that I want to put through the song. So it's a similar thing with the drums. It's like, okay, if I want to create this certain groove and this feel, can I really do that on a standard drum set, or should I try something? I'm really wanting a low pitch on this side of the kit, so let me put a big floor tom over here, or I'm, you know what I mean, just to be creative in a sense of making it yours. Because a lot of us, when we're young, we don't know what to do. We're afraid to not do the right thing musically. At least I was. And again, the more that you know about, if somebody starts playing a Montuno bass line, and a percussionist is playing a 2/3 clave, you kind of know what to do. If you have never listened to that music, you're going to be frozen. You're not going to know what to do. So expression is the last thing, or yourself is the last thing that's going to happen, because you don't even know what to say. It's like learning a language. You have to study the vocabulary and listen to the way people that speak the language really well, the way that they talk, and emulate that, and then you can start to be creative with your own expression and the words you choose to use, even in the English, even in your own language. To me, it's about that, and it's also, like I said, the beauty of it for me is finding a way to have that self-expression, your own emotional content, along with the support factor that lets everybody else in the band get to that place too. And that, I still say, if there's an issue of younger drummers today, it's the lack of understanding the support concept. It's all about, the notes and what's going on technically, or from the sense of that physical ability, and not so much about how what they're doing is really affecting the person they're playing behind, from a musical standpoint, from, everything from dynamics, volume, touch, the atmosphere that is created from the drums. How much sustain is going on, versus tightness. Is it, there's all that stuff is a direct display of emotion. Because if it's the wrong texture, it doesn't allow the emotion to happen. If something is tight and contained, it makes it edgy sounding, and it makes everybody else want to play that way. But if you're playing something that's supposed to be, full and smooth and create a texture for somebody to be comfortable on top of, and you got to understand how to get that out of your instrument. And so it becomes that self-expression of the feeling you want to create for yourself first, and then for, the other musicians. So there's so much involved, to me, that it becomes, it's a never-ending quest, to figure it out. At least for me it is.